As the NFL offseason shakes up rosters and shifts power dynamics across the league, there's no better time to revisit the 10 greatest free agent signings in NFL history. Some of these moves absolutely redefined franchises, turning struggling teams into contenders. Others provided the missing piece that led to championship glory, and each one left a lasting impact on the league and offers a lesson for today's NFL GMs. From franchise-altering deals to legendary postseason heroes, these are the most game-changing free agent signings of all time. Saquon Barkley to the Eagles. Saquon Barkley had been an outstanding player in his 3 years at Penn State and was such an appalling draft prospect that the New York Giants were willing to defy all conventional wisdom and select the running back with their second overall pick. Although he won the Offensive Rookie of the Year in 2018, the Giants were unable to successfully build around him in the years that followed, even after he fully recovered from a bout with an injury. After playing on the franchise tag through 2023, the Giants weren't interested in extending Saquon's stay in the Meadowlands, letting him walk in 2024's free agency, where the Eagles picked Barkley up on a 3-year, $37.75 million deal, and the rest is very, very recent history.
Down by 9 now in the battle for first place. Barkley! Does he have another one? Yes, he does. Touchdown.
Saquon Barkley as the running back. You said it, Chris. Big opening. Barkley let loose. Saquon will take it the distance. Touchdown.
Throws it 20 times per game. Has room, and there he goes. Saquon Barkley showing the speed. He'll take it all the way. Touchdown from 68.
Eagles fans were treated to over 2,000 rushing yards in a backward hurdle to go alongside various other iconic moments, courtesy of an elite offensive line and sensible front office. Winning Offensive Player of the Year in a landslide vote just 1 year after being let go is about the best possible response you can imagine. Winning his first Lombardi trophy for his hometown was the icing on the cake, where there also being several moments throughout the season where Saquon demonstrated a selflessness and determination that quickly made him a fan favorite in Philly. From refusing to go down for his single-game career best against the Giants to downing the Rams in the snow, he more than earned his 2-year, $41.2 million extension. And I mean, truthfully, the only thing keeping him from placing higher on this list is how little time he has spent with his new team. I mean, as for an immediate impact goes, though, there are few better than Saquon. Julius Peppers to the Bears. Julius Peppers is a Carolina boy through and through, so when the former Tar Heel was selected second overall by the Panthers in 2002, Charlotte seemed to be the perfect fit. Winning Defensive Rookie of the Year was a great start, as Julius Peppers proved to be a force of nature across his 4 seasons as part of the Panthers organization. 4-time All-Pro, 5-time Pro Bowler, Peppers was a freak athlete who struck fear in offensive lines across the league. But after a dip in the 2009 season, the Panthers front office opted not to franchise tag Julius Peppers, who entered free agency at 30 years old as a fairly hot commodity. It would be the Chicago Bears who picked him up for an eye-watering 6-year, $91.5 million deal. I mean, adding a 6'7", 300-pounder to any defensive line would be just an upgrade on any team, and Chicago was no exception. Like, I mean, they already had ridiculous talent in the Bears linebacker room, namely Brian Urlacher and Lance Briggs, and the pressure that Peppers was able to bring from the line completely revitalized this unit. The Bears went from 7-9 the season prior to 11-5 in 2010, with the division title helping them to the NFC Championship game. That was in large part thanks to just how important Julius Peppers had become to this defense. His dominance at the line helped eke more quality play out of an aging Urlacher, while the Bears never had a losing season in his 4 years there. There was unfortunately no Super Bowl ring for Peppers, but the effect that he had in Chicago is often overlooked, as he is more remembered for his time in Carolina. Darrelle Revis to the Patriots. Now, Darrelle Revis going to the Patriots makes this list because, well, as a 1-year contract, it is one of the most effective signings we have ever seen in NFL history on a 1-year deal. After 4 seasons of elite play for the Jets, Revis suffered an ACL injury in 2012 that saw him miss most of the year. New York looked to trade him due to uncertainties around his recovery and got an absolute haul from Tampa Bay, who signed Revis to a mega contract. And while he proved to still be an elite corner post-injury, the Bucs weren't really keen on paying him his record-setting wages and thus had to release him after just 1 year. Up stepped the New England Patriots, who signed Revis to a 1-year, $12 million deal out of the 2014 NFL season. And as it would turn out, the future Hall of Famer had a lot to give, finishing the year as the second highest graded corner behind only Richard Sherman, according to PFF. Although he did struggle against Steve Smith Sr. in the divisional round, he was a huge help in the AFC Championship win over the Colts, grabbing an early interception in the Super Bowl win over the Seahawks, tallying an early sack on Russell Wilson. It may have only lasted a year as the Patriots let him walk immediately after, but Revis' first-team All-Pro and Super Bowl ring is clearly evidence of the insane value that New England found in him. No doubt the move is made that much sweeter by the bitter taste it left in the mouths of Jets fans, who not only felt betrayed by Revis, but had to watch one of their greatest ever players triumph with a division rival. Deion Sanders to the Niners. Sanders was initially drafted by the Falcons in 1989, where he became one of the most recognizable names in all of pro football. He truly embodied the primetime moniker as a big play machine on both defense and special teams with his frightening speed. When his contract ran out in the 1994 offseason, the San Francisco 49ers were desperate to snap up the star corner. You see, they were torched in back-to-back NFC Championship games by the Aikman-Irvin-led Cowboys, and were in desperate need of strengthening the secondary if they were to have any shot at returning to glory of the 1980s. Primetime came in as a 3-time All-Pro, well worth the 1-year, $1.2 million deal the Niners gave him, as he balled out and was named the 1994's Defensive Player of the Year with 6 interceptions, 3 of which were returned for scores. And when it came time to prove his value against Dallas in the NFC Championship game, he picked off Troy Aikman to punch the Niners' ticket to the Super Bowl, where they finally got over the hump and Sanders won his first ring. Although he did go on to join the Cowboys the following season, Prime makes our list for the immediate impact he had in the Bay, enjoying arguably the best season of his entire career. Tom Brady to the Buccaneers. It would almost seem redundant to recount all of his accolades as a Patriot, but there really is no way to understate the magnitude of his accomplishments with the organization. 6 Super Bowl rings, 4 Super Bowl MVPs, and 3 league MVPs, a true stalwart of the Patriots franchise. But after 20 illustrious seasons in Foxborough, the Patriots front office decided Brady's best days were behind the 42-year-old, allowing him to walk in free agency despite his continued production. Tampa Bay won the race for his signature, agreeing to a 2-year, $50 million deal, which paid immediate dividends. Brady adjusted seamlessly, throwing for 40 touchdowns en route to the 10th Super Bowl appearance of his career. The Bucs absolutely manhandled KC 31-9, with Brady tossing 3 touchdowns to earn him his 5th Super Bowl MVP and 7th ring overall. Not only was his impact just felt immediately by bringing the Bucs their first title in over 18 years, but it just really proved to be money well spent overall for the team. Brady led the league with an insane stat line of 5,316 yards and 43 touchdowns in 2021, although the Bucs weren't able to replicate their postseason success. While 2022 didn't go exactly as planned in Tampa Bay, there's no denying that signing Tom Brady in 2020's free agency was one of the best moves in franchise history. Peyton Manning to the Broncos. Similar to Brady, after a long stint with the team that had drafted him, in this case 14 seasons with the Colts, the front office decided it was time to move on from their legendary quarterback. In Manning's case, this largely came down to a serious neck injury that had kept him out of action through 2011, a season where Indianapolis earned the first overall pick. Manning was subsequently released, and with plenty of football left in him, instantly became a hot commodity in the free agent market. Denver picked him up on a 5-year, $96 million deal, and Manning was an instant success. All-Pro honors in his first season, where he showed absolutely no signs of slowing down, which were topped off by an MVP campaign in 2013 with 5,477 passing yards for 55 touchdowns. Not only was this his 5th MVP, but both of those tallies are still NFL single-season records to this day. Leading a high-powered offense, the Broncos made it to the Super Bowl where they were dismantled by Seattle. And after another solid year in 2014, Manning struggled for fitness in 2015, but when it was all said and done, he still came out of it with another Lombardi trophy, affording the Sheriff his perfect opportunity to ride off into the sunset. He places above Brady for us right now because of his 2 Super Bowl trips with this team and the record-breaking 2013 season as well. Curtis Martin to the Jets. Drafted by the Patriots in 1995, the running back won Offensive Rookie of the Year and came up big in his sophomore season, helping New England to a Super Bowl appearance. Although they ultimately did fall short, Martin remained a model of consistency at the position, passing the 1,000-yard rushing mark in each of his first 3 seasons in the league. Nevertheless, the Patriots let him hit free agency where they were unable to match a lucrative 6-year, $36 million deal with the Jets. Reunited with Bill Parcells, his former coach, Curtis Martin continued to churn out 1,000-yard rushing seasons like clockwork. Although he never reached the Super Bowl again, Martin did lead the league in rushing yards with 1,697 in 2004, where he did earn his one and only first-team All-Pro nod in the final year of his NFL seasons. That capped off a streak of 10 straight 1,000-yard seasons, which included 5 Pro Bowl nods, although he never won a ring in New York City. Curtis Martin is easily one of the best players to ever suit up in the green and white, a franchise icon deserving of recognition as one of the best free agent signings ever. Charles Woodson to the Packers. Woodson's first 4 years after being drafted by the Oakland Raiders were absolutely brilliant, winning Offensive Rookie of the Year with 4 straight Pro Bowl nods. The next 4 years were not so great apart from the Super Bowl appearance, from which the Raiders came out empty-handed. Woodson struggled with injuries and had a fairly public falling out with the coaching staff and front office, meaning that in 2006, after his second franchise tag, Oakland would let him walk. Green Bay was reportedly the only team to offer Woodson a contract, meaning he had no choice but to sign onto the 7-year, $52.7 million deal. 8 interceptions in his debut season at Lambeau was nothing to scoff at, but it would be in his 2009 effort that proved Woodson was fully living up to his insane potential. 3 pick sixes from 9 interceptions to go along with 4 forced fumbles and 9 tackles for loss saw him named the Defensive Player of the Year. The following season, Charles Woodson would finally be on the winning side of the Super Bowl, breaking his collarbone in the process, but yet he remained a fixture in the Packers defense for 2011, but injuries did see him limited in 2011 before ultimately being released going forward. Reggie White to the Packers. Now, the second best free agent signing in NFL history is Reggie White joining the Packers in 1993. 8 seasons of relentless production in Philadelphia earned him numerous accolades, where he was the sack leader twice, won Defensive Player of the Year in 1987, was named first-team All-Pro in 6 consecutive seasons, and was a legitimate force of nature in the Kelly Green. But Philly was set to move on from the 31-year-old, who was a plaintiff in a major legal case against the NFL, which eventually brought about the modern era of free agency and salary cap as we know it today. The court decision came in early 1993, allowing White to sign a historic 4-year, $17 million contract with the highest bidder, which in this case was the Green Bay Packers. And now, despite the slow start to life at Lambeau, White was able to return to his elite level of production in a late career resurgence that saw him finally win a Super Bowl at the age of 35. What's more impressive though is that he got 3 sacks in the big game, and it was the first Lombardi trophy to head to Green Bay since the man himself won it in 1967. 2 years later, Reggie White was named Defensive Player of the Year at age 37, receiving his 13th consecutive Pro Bowl nod in the process. And now the reason we have him at number 2 is because not only because of his longevity and just being able to play for as long as he did, but for his overall effect he had on the NFL free agency and kind of making it how it is today. Drew Brees to the New Orleans Saints. Now, the best free agent signing of all time has to be Drew Brees heading to the New Orleans Saints in 2006. The Purdue alum had shown glimpses across his first 5 seasons in San Diego, but left the Chargers front office unconvinced. They let him walk in 2006, opting to draft Phillip Rivers as his replacement, although many teams across the league saw massive upside in Brees, driving up his price. He eventually agreed to a 6-year, $60 million contract with the Saints, but would be entering a delicate situation in New Orleans. You see, the Saints had just played all of their regular season games outside of New Orleans in 2005, as the destruction of Hurricane Katrina made it damn near impossible to host anything in that state. By 2006, though, they had been cleared to return to the Superdome, and Brees certainly stepped up to the occasion. He took the Saints to the first conference championship in franchise history while leading the league in passing yards. And then just 3 years later, he managed to lead the New Orleans Saints to its first Lombardi trophy in a game where they were clear underdogs and went on to be named the Super Bowl MVP as well. For reference too, the Saints had only made the playoffs 5 times in their history before he had arrived. He then went on to win Offensive Player of the Year twice, yet for all his remarkable play, it still feels as though Drew Brees is criminally underappreciated. When you weigh in the impact that he had on the franchise, the city, and the longevity that he enjoyed with the New Orleans Saints, there's no doubt that Drew Brees is the greatest free agent signing of all time.